What would make a young family leave everything behind and move to one of the least evangelized nations in Europe? Today, you'll meet Kyle Plum, a disciple with a dream to help build God's kingdom in Albania. We'll talk about why Albania, what he's walking into, the challenges ahead, his first 90 days on the ground, and what it feels like to uproot your wife and children for the sake of the gospel. If you've ever wondered whether God still calls ordinary people to do extraordinary things, you're going to love this conversation. All this and more on the Rob Skinner podcast. Welcome back to the Rob Skinner podcast. My goal is to inspire you to live a no regrets life, make this life count, and multiply disciples, leaders, and churches. Today, I'm excited to welcome back Kyle Plum. Kyle's preparing for one of the biggest faith adventures of his life as he and his family prepare to move to Albania to serve in the mission field. We're going to talk about how God led him there, what he's expecting, what excites him most, and how you can be part of the mission. Welcome back to the program, Kyle.
Hey, Rob. Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
For those who haven't talked to you already or heard our previous conversation, can you tell me a little bit about what's been happening over the past couple of years with yourself?
Yeah. So over the past few years, Monique and I and our 3 kids, we've been in San Diego. We've been leading, my wife's been doing more of an admin role. I have been leading the congregational campus ministry. I think the last time we spoke, I was just leading one campus ministry. So I've been leading that. That's about 180 disciples or so. And kind of my main goal has been training and raising up the other campus ministers to get them ready to become evangelists, women's ministry leaders. So that's been my main focus over the past few years since we've talked.
Okay, looking back over the last year, what has God been teaching you personally?
God has been teaching me a lot. I think I'm learning that God cares more about who I'm becoming than what I do for him. I think some of my most successful times in the ministry have been some of my lowest points spiritually, just personally. And so I think what it shows is God is merciful and graceful, and he can use anyone to do extraordinary things, faithful things. However, God really cares about the heart and measuring success by how much I love others. And that doesn't mean I retreat from doing the work and working hard. I mean, I love the grind. I love the work. I hate to go to sleep. I love to wake up in the morning. I wake up before my alarm. I'm just ready to go. But I think I got to take care of my heart, and I got to really make sure I'm not protecting my heart out of fear. I'm Philippians 2 has been kind of my meditation lately, has been emptying myself, taking on the nature of a servant, leading with power, but also with a lot of humility. So I think God's been doing some real work on my character.
I know you spent a little bit of time in the Philippines. How was that? I think it was a short-term mission trip you went on.
Yeah, it was just 3 months. We were in Mindanao, the southern part of the Philippines. It's the Muslim island there. It was amazing. I feel like the disciples there are so faithful, so joyful. I think it showed me Christianity outside of the West, a very communal look at Christianity. There was so much peace being in a place where I'm a nobody and I'm walking the street and no one knows me and all the Muslims hate me. There was just a real joy and peace to that. I don't know why, but I really enjoyed that. And I think what opened my eyes, and I don't know, this not everyone may agree with this, but I think short-term missions probably do more for the faith of the person going on the mission trip than it does for the church. I think we brought faith, but I think we gained a lot more faith from the disciples in the Philippines. I mean, they're amazing. And I think I realized in a Muslim culture, kind of more of a tribalistic culture like Mindanao was, we would need to be there long term, I think, to see a lot of fruit in terms of converting Muslims. So I think it opened my eyes to really the cost of missionary work. It opened my eyes to what other people are going through in the world, financially, poverty-wise, and I think it really, I mean, it increased our faith so much. Monique and I came home with just faith through the roof. We were so inspired by them.
Awesome. Let's talk about the call to Albania. Okay, why Albania? You'd considered other locations, including Stockton, California. How did God make Albania clear in your mind, in your heart?
Well, it was like 5 years looking back at it. We had wanted to go to a few places overseas. We went to the Philippines. I mean, we went there with the mentality, we're here for 3 months. If God calls us to stay, we'll never go home. Being there, we realized they've raised up so many leaders there. They didn't really need us there. And so we decided to come back. And then, really, I wanted to go plant. I mean, being on the mission field, even though for 3 months, I really wanted to go plant a church. I'd been on a church planting when I was in college. Monique and I had in Corpus Christi, Texas. Stockton was a thought because my wife's whole family's from Stockton. And actually, on the way up here, we stopped there. We hung out with her family for a couple days. It's still in my heart. We had thought about Oakland. We had thought about Southeast San Diego, kind of a rougher part of San Diego there, planting a region there. And so all these things were going in my heart, and I feel like God just kept shutting them down. And I feel like he kept making it clear that the timing just wasn't right. And looking back on that, I'm so glad we listened to him. And I'll go into that a little more later, but we went to ICMC in LA, and we were also having the Pacific Southwest Leaders Retreat during that time, right before. And Sean Wooten was our speaker there. And you guys know Sean. I mean, Sean is one of the most, him and his wife Lena are some of the most inspiring people I think I've ever met. They absolutely practice what they preach. But I've heard him speak, I mean, like a dozen times, and I had never felt this call to go to Europe ever. And it's interesting that I was listening to him speak, and, I'm in a room with all these leaders, and I think the thing that I was marveling at was just the simplicity of his faith. I mean, it's just what the Bible says. It's just lost and saved, and it's, all these stories of miracles happening, and I was just like, oh, man, like I really love that about Sean. And so I didn't have any feeling of wanting to go over there yet. I said, all right, I bet Sean's really busy, but I'm going to ask if I can buy him a coffee, even for just 30 minutes. I just want some of that faith, man. And so I asked him, he said, yeah, he'll let me know. He let me know when he could meet. So he met from I think it was 3 p.m. to 3:30 the next day for coffee. But what was interesting, and I found this out later, that night when I asked him to get coffee, there was two brothers named Ed Anton and Glenn Petruzzi, and they were in Albania, and they were standing on, I think it's Mother Teresa Square, and they were praying that God would start moving in the heart of the next couple that would come to lead Albania. And it was at that time, we kind of redrew we figured out the timing. It was at that time that I approached Sean and just asked him to get coffee. And so little did I know, God was moving in my heart. So we got coffee the next day, and I asked Sean, and I said, Sean, I've had such a burning desire to go overseas. God keeps shutting it down, and I've accepted the fact that maybe God will never want us to go overseas. So I'm content to stay in San Diego. God is enough, but this feeling won't go away. This burning in my heart won't go away. I don't know what to do about that. And so, we talked, and he gave me a lot of faith, and he kept telling me, just keep knocking on doors, keep knocking on doors. So I went home, and, I think Sean's known for recruiting to revive. He didn't try to recruit me. I think he's just a faithful brother and was, talking to me. And so I went home after ICMC, and, I was just praying about it a lot, and God it just was on my heart. And so I told God, I said, God, I would ask that you take this off my heart if it's just going to be another knocking on the door that you shut. If you want us to stay here, we'll stay here. We love it here in San Diego. We have amazing leaders with the Lovegrens in San Diego. We're raising up campus ministers. We're baptizing a lot of people. I mean, it's going awesome. We're not running away from anything. But God, if you don't want us to do this, then please shut this down. Take it off my heart. And man, I kept feeling I mean, I was feeling it. I mean, every scripture I read on world evangelism and God's heart to bring the gospel to the world was just in my heart. And before that, I had got so discouraged that we weren't going anywhere that I had stopped watching sermons on evangelism, on world mission trips or anything like that, because I didn't want to get my hopes up. But anyways, God was stirring in my heart. I reached out to Sean and I just texted him. I said, "Hey, could you send me? Do we have any church, or any countries in Eastern Europe with either no church or no leader?" So he sent me, I think it was like 6 countries with no church. And they almost all of them surrounded this one country that had a small church, but they didn't have a full-time leader, and that was Albania. And Sean even followed that up with, "Hey, I know you're passionate even about reaching people that are hard to reach, like Muslims. Albania is a Muslim country. What would what do you think about that?" And so I said, "Hey, let's jump on a call." So me, him, and Monique hopped on a call. And long story short, I mean, Rob, I tell you, we prayed the most specific prayers that, like the most specific prayers that God would change certain things, not circumstances, that God would change certain things in our heart, certain struggles we were dealing with. And it was like the time we started praying, God supernaturally transformed my wife and my heart on some different things. And we even were praying like, "God, shut this down. If you don't want us to go to Albania, shut it down, not with anything we feel, because feelings are subjective. Don't make it anything like that. Let it be like, this is just impossible. It's not going to happen. You can't go anymore." And God just opened it up like you wouldn't believe. And so during this time, real quick, even behind all that, there were some people that they didn't know that Monique and I were feeling this call to go to Albania. They didn't know that Glenn and Ed were praying for the next Albanian leaders. And they're Albanians living in America. One brother in particular, very generous. They offered, "Hey, we'll pledge this much money. We may never find the next Albanian leader, but we'll pledge this much money if you find him and her so that they can go lead." And they had no idea that we were even considering this. So it's just like God was working in all different parts of the world to bring all this together for this beautiful country of Albania and the souls there. So that's why Albania.
That's awesome. For people who know almost nothing about Albania, what should we know? Like what first of all, what's the spiritual climate like there? Give us a little background.
Yeah, so Albania, Eastern Europe, that area there has a lot of very interesting history because the lines of the countries have been redrawn and drawn so many times. So Albania, it was conquered. Well, actually, I don't know. I don't know if I want to say it was conquered. They might get me. But the Ottoman Empire at one point occupied Albania, and as a result of that, I'm pretty sure it became all Muslim. Long story short, communism was instilled in Albania, and communism, I mean, just beats the faith out of Christianity, Islam. And so what happened as a result of that, when they came out of communism, you have a lot of people who are culturally Muslim, but they don't really even know what they believe in. Like, I think, honestly, as we do Bible studies with people, we're going to be teaching them about Islam more than they're going to be able to dispute much about it. And so a lot of it's kind of how you go to America and people say they're Christians and they know nothing about what they believe except that Jesus died on the cross. I think it's similar with the Muslims in Albania. However, you see a lot of videos during Ramadan. Even there was a Muslim holiday, Eid al something. It's celebrating Abraham, I think offering Isaac. But you see these videos in Albania and they're just all in the streets. They blocked off all the streets and they're all bowing and praying, to who they think is Allah. And so it, as culturally Muslim as it is also, I mean, some people are practicing, at least culturally they're practicing. The next biggest denomination will be Orthodox, who they can almost be more brutal, I think, than the Muslims in Albania. And then, evangelical Protestant Christianity is about 0.2% of all of Albania.
Okay, so where is it located specifically for those who are geographically challenged?
Yeah. So if you look at a map and you look at Italy, kind of the boot of Italy, just look right across east and you'll see Albania. It borders a few countries. You got Greece right there. You have North Macedonia, Kosovo, Montenegro, Bosnia is right in that area. Serbia is kind of in that area.
Well, let's talk about the church there. What does the church look like right now? How many disciples are there? What are the strengths of the church? What kind of challenges is the church facing right now? What are you walking
From
in?
what I've heard, at one point it was about 140 disciples. Now it's 30, and there's a couple there who led on staff for a while. They came off staff, years ago. They're still there. Amazing couple. Vangel and Marcella, the Koyokos, they're some of our favorite disciples we've ever met. So they're there, which is like, that was a bonus in us wanting to, that makes us feel really encouraged that they're going to be there. So they're there. It's about 30 disciples total now. I would say the demographic of it is pretty, middle-aged, younger families, which is encouraging. We have younger kids. There's a lot of younger kids there. There's a teen ministry there. I think there's 6 disciples in that teen ministry or so. When you're around this teen ministry, though, it feels like you're around a campus ministry. I mean, they go out, they're evangelizing on their own. Shout out to, there's been some elders and some campus students from Boston that have gone out there a few times that have kept in contact with them and really encouraged their faith. They're just an amazing group. So, it's 30 people, but when we went out there, it really felt like we're not starting with nothing. It feels like we're starting with a group that, man, if we pump some faith in there, it's going to explode. It's going to be like a mission team. And so I really feel like we're not going to hard situation. I was very inspired and impressed by them and the fact that they've remained faithful for so long. Yeah, it's really encouraging.
You obviously have gone there. You've seen the church. Were they welcoming? Are they excited to have you guys? Are they standoffish? What's your vibe?
You know what?
What's your
The
sense?
Albanians, very welcoming, very welcoming. They are some of the bluntest people you will ever meet. And I was just like, I have found my people. I mean, they're blunter than I am. And so I was like, and the brother even told us, they were like, the harder you preach, the more we're going to love you. So I was like, let's go. And so, no, I loved it. I mean, it's a Muslim country. So I think you have a pretty conservative culture, like even a family culture. So I think that's something that we want to, that's actually, I think it's actually a really good thing because there's a good baseline. I think bringing, some Christian culture into the families and different things. But I think, man, they're really blunt. They're really loud. They're welcoming. They joke around a lot. Like I felt like I was kind of back home with my friends that I grew up with, all joking around and laughing. And, while we were there was a big riot. I mean, not with the disciples, but they were throwing Molotov cocktails at the prime minister's office or the president, whatever he is. And so, because of his corruption, I think. And I don't know, for whatever reason, that made Monique and I just we walked through it. I mean, we were going through it on the way back, and that just made us want to move there more. I was just like, this is a revolutionary people that, man, if they had the love of the gospel in them, they would set Eastern Europe on fire. I mean, we would not have this list of 6 countries without a church. We would be
Yeah,
sending out leaders from Albania to plant churches. And so I just think, man, God has great dreams and plans for the church in Albania. What we want to do is come in and really inspire faith. We don't want to change their culture. We really just want to inspire faith and really help people grow in a love for God and live out that faith in the community, in the country.
awesome. Okay, so let's talk about the first 90 days. Walk us through your first week after landing. You get the boots on the ground, you show up, you've got your wife, Monique, you've got your 3 kids, Leah,
Yeah.
Alina,
Yeah.
and Judah. You got young kids, 5, 4,
Yeah.
1.5. What's your 90-day plan?
90-day plan. So the first 5 to 7 days, that first week, I think we're going to help get the kids acclimated. We're going to get acclimated. We're actually going 2 weeks before we officially start. Get out there, get the kids acclimated. We're going to meet. I've already set it up. Monique and I are going to meet with Vangel and Marcella, the couple who's there. Amazing couple. We're actually talking to our future, God willing, landlord tomorrow with them. They've helped us secure living right next to the church. And so we'll get all that set up. We'll probably have Marcella's going to teach Monique how to shop, like how to do that stuff. We have no idea what to do with that. But I think for us, I mean, the most important work we're going to be doing that first week / maybe even 2 weeks is fasting and praying for God. I just want to walk the city and feel the city and walk, and just praying that God would knock down these strongholds and walls. And we prayed every day of Ramadan that God would be appearing to the Muslims in Albania in dreams, that Jesus would appear to them, and that, you hear about that going on all over the world, that he'd be appearing to them, he'd be softening their heart, and that God would lead us to those people. And so I think that first week's going to be prayer, fasting, God give us a vision. We're already doing that, but God give us a vision, meeting with the leaders there. And then from there, it's 30 people. We want to go visit everyone's house where they live, have dinner with them, be with their kids, have them over to our house. We're going to be going to a teen camp there. There's a Boston group of campus students that are leading a teen camp there. So we're going to go to that and get to know the teens and spend a lot of time with them. So that'll kind of take up our first 3 weeks there. And then after that, I mean, we are just going to evangelize like crazy. I mean, just share our faith. I wish I had something you haven't heard. I don't. We're just going to be praying and sharing our faith and preaching the word and discipling. And
That's awesome.
yeah.
Okay, but it's just you and Monique going with your kids. Are you bringing a team? Are you bringing additional people? Because you've got this existing group of disciples. They're accustomed to their normal daily routine. They're in the culture. They're employed. They're not going to be free
Right.
as much. I'm sure they'll make time to share their faith here and there. But what's your game plan? Are you hoping to supplement what you're doing, or is it just going to be you guys?
So there is, we put an application out for people to apply for a 1-year challenge in Albania. And right now, I think we've had 5 or 6 applicants fill it out. And it's, it tests you if you really want to come. I mean, it's self-funded. And so we're going to be making calls to those people. Right now, we have, I think there's possibly 4 from San Diego coming. We have an application from a sister in Canada, and we have an application from a brother in Boston. And so we're hoping that all of them can come out for a year, and they can do a 1-year challenge in Albania with us, sort of like Revive's doing. Though it won't be Revive; it'll just be, Albania. And so, but yeah, just kind of imitating what they've done.
Okay, great. So you have some kind of midterm, like you've got a year long. That's a nice long commitment there to just help you out. Now, are you gonna go there to strengthen existing disciples, reach new people, train leaders, or all three? What's your thoughts on that?
All 3 for sure. But I think, one thing we learned in San Diego, we had a very old region we were a part of, and we were blessed with the Lovegrens leading it. They did an amazing job building family. I think what really inspired our region in San Diego, it was a lot of people, a lot older, kind of had slowed down in their faith, some of them, but seeing a revival in the campus ministry, that inspired their faith, and it made them want to be a part of it, and it reminded them of when they were converted. So I think my thought, Monique, and my goal is we really want to radicalize and inspire the young, evangelistically, to get after it. The teens in the campus, and I think seeing baptisms, seeing young leaders start getting raised up, that will really, I think, inspire the faith of the older Christians who have been there for a while. It will also help. My wife is going to be on staff with me. She hasn't been on staff for a few years here in San Diego. She's coming on staff to help lead in Albania. I think the sisters are really craving, teaching and different things from a sister. And I think that's something we've heard. They've actually, it's a pretty strong group of sisters. So I think the main thing is just inspiring the young. I think we want to inspire the older, strengthen them. But I think if you're not, if you don't have a responsibility, you're just going to struggle. And so I think we want to help the older pass on to the younger. And, Ed and Deb are going to be joining us as well. Ed and Deb Anton, September and October. And they're going to take on some of the marriage stuff. Of course, Monique and I will as well. But I think their thought is to kind of free us up a little bit just to focus on offense and reaching people.
That's awesome. Okay. So what would make you look back after 6 months and say, "Whoa, we are off to a great start"? What would you be looking at to see, "Oh, okay, we're right on target"?
That's a great question. I mean, we'd love to have like 60 baptisms, but I think I think I think faithfulness with what God has given us. And so he's given us some really pouring into these young disciples that are there. Hopefully we're baptizing a man and a woman every month. And I think hitting back, I think one thing for the whole church when you talk about strengthening is getting back to some of the first principles of discipleship and just getting that back focused.
Like rebuilding the spiritual foundation, the
Absolutely. Yeah,
convictions,
rebuilding that.
and then also showing people miracles, showing people baptisms. Last year in the church, how many baptisms were there? Do you know?
I think they had 4 teens get baptized.
Okay. People from the general community from outside?
I'm not sure. I'll have to find that out. Yeah.
Okay. When you look forward, what mistakes are you hoping to avoid?
What mistakes am I hoping to avoid? Self-reliance. I think when I first came into the ministry in San Diego, I was very harsh. So I don't want to do that at all. Big one, self-reliance. Yeah, we're just going to another culture, another place. We're learning the language. A lot of people understand English, but it's not the same. And so there's just going to be a huge, I think, temptation of mine just to work really hard and rely on myself. And I think, you see in the book of Acts, almost every time the church grew, it was tied to the word of God being preached and proclaimed because it's more about the message than the messenger. So I think self-reliance. I don't want to do that.
That's awesome. Okay, let's talk a little bit about family and faith. How's your wife, Monique, feeling about the move?
My wife is one of the most faithful people I know. I don't know many people that would even be willing to think about bringing your 3 young kids from America to Albania. My mom has pulled me aside and said,
Awesome.
Kyle, you need to understand who your wife is because this is not normal. Monique, probably when I told her, I remember we met with the Wootons and Lena, Lena, straight shooter. I love Lena. And Lena asked, she asked Monique, out of 1 out of 10, what are you feeling? How are you feeling? Are you feeling called to come? What is it? And Monique was like, I'm probably a 4 out of 10 right now. And Monique went through over, the next 6 months, she went through some serious like anxiety stuff and just different things. And I won't go too into it, but you know what, looking back on it, God was really preparing her to rely on him like darkness. I mean, it was dark. And bro, when we visited Albania and then we went to Budapest and we were with the Wootons, Lena asked Monique again after visiting Albania, hey, so what are you? 1 out of 10. And Monique said, I'm 10 out of 10. I'm all in. And so, yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
it was incredible. And a lot of that was the answered prayers that God gave us. That was helpful.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. How are your kids processing all of this? Are they excited? Do they know what's going on?
I think, we've done some family devotionals about it. I don't think they totally understand what's going on. We're talking about it. They know about it. We've sold everything we have except for some clothes. They each got to keep, 2 stuffed animals and a toy. I mean, we sold everything. But I think they're, explaining about not seeing their cousins every day and not seeing grandma and grandpa every day, and they're going to come visit and we can FaceTime, and that my oldest is feeling that a little bit. That's the cost, honestly, is just the relationships, and my kids won't grow up with their family, but I think we've really held on to Mark 10 where, with the rich young ruler, and Jesus promises that those who give up family for my sake and the gospel's sake will not fail to receive 100 times as much in this life and the life to come. So we know God will provide for us. The promises of God have had to become very real to us because we know he's going to shepherd our kids. And a lot of people have said that. I think, Rob, a lot of the reason a lot of parents don't want to do things like this is, well, what will happen to our kids? And with all due respect to that thought process, that I had that thought, what about the kids that stay here? Kids aren't guaranteed to do well spiritually staying in America. I mean, they're not going to teach my daughter in Albania she can become a boy. Heck no. They'll stone you for that. And so I think I think I think physically my kids will have a harder life than they would have had here. Their soul, though, I feel like their soul will be protected. God will protect them. So I'm very confident that God will protect them. I don't really feel too afraid. I go through my waves. I really want to be at peace for my kids.
Have there been moments when you wondered, oh, are we really doing this? Is this
Oh,
really
of course.
happening?
Yeah. Sometimes we'll wake up. I mean, even we're here in Oregon right now. We're on vacation. My kids are napping right now, but my parents, they were here. They just left. They had to go back to San Diego for something, but it hit me as they were driving away that, like, this is it. This is kind of the end of life as we've always known it. Yeah. I think this morning I was reflecting on heaven has to be real. Jesus has to be real. Otherwise our life, this would be such a waste. And so it's really,
Yeah.
we've woken up like, wow, we're really doing this. What are we doing, man? So yeah, for sure.
When you think, what's in terms of your mindset, are you thinking I'm going to be there for a year, 5 years, 10 years, rest of my life? What's going through your mind right now?
I think we have to think we're going the rest of our life. Otherwise there'll always be a back door. And so honestly, our main goal, Rob, with all of this is to raise up a national church leader. I mean, we really do believe long term it should be a Albanian leading the church. And we want to raise up church leaders to go to other countries as well. But my wife and I have talked. I don't know. I don't know if we ever want to come back to the States. And I think that's easy to say right now. But I don't know. I mean, if Christianity ever becomes illegal in America, we'll come back. So
What are you praying for the most right now? And what scriptures have become especially meaningful for you as you prepare for this?
yeah, so I think our specific prayers are, I've been praying, Monique and I specifically, increase our faith, increase the faith of our children as they grow up seeing all this, increase the faith of disciples there. Give us a peace that surpasses all understanding. Help us to rejoice always, continually. And then I think, like, numerically, that type of stuff, I think we're praying. Something I've been praying about is I would like to baptize someone every year that could become an evangelist. And so we want to baptize. Monique and I both want to baptize a guy and a girl every month. That'd be our prayer and our goal. But we want to baptize a guy and a girl every year that could be raised up to be an evangelist, woman's ministry leader. So those are specific prayers, praying that we'd make best friends in the community. With the Koyakos, they're amazing. We're going to live by them. We want to be their best friends. They're older than us, and we're going to confess all of our sin to them, so they're going to get to know us really well. But yeah, I think praying for that. I think praying that we can raise up the next church leaders. I think praying that we can be joyful as we do this and lighthearted. I'm a little too intense sometimes, so I think I just want to go about this in a way where my kids love it and it's awesome. So those would be some of the specific prayers. I think, the scriptures are the one, with the rich young ruler, those who give up, homes, brothers, mothers, fathers, sisters, you know, and their life for the gospel and my sake will not fail to receive 100 times more in this life and the life to come in persecutions. So we've been praying about that a lot. I think 1 Corinthians 15, if we have hoped in Christ only for this life, we of all people most be pitied. That's been a big one. Psalm 121 verse 1, I lift my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. There's these huge mountains that you can see in Albania. And so just reminding ourselves God is with us. He's present. He's just as present over there as he is here. And so, yeah,
That's awesome.
we've been holding on, man.
That's fantastic. What about the language? What is the language, and do you plan on learning it?
Language is a tough one. I want you to think so the language is Albanian. And like if you were to hear it spoken, maybe think in between Arabic and Russian, like right in the middle of that, you might get something like Albanian. We are learning it currently. Another prayer I've been praying, specific prayer. I would like to be able to I don't know, I hope the church there doesn't see this, but I would like to be able to preach in Albanian within a year of being there.
Oh yeah, you can do it. You can definitely do it. Awesome. That's great. So it's not a Romance language. It's not a
No,
Latin-based
it's its
language.
own thing.
Okay. Okay. It'd be interesting. Good luck. Good luck on
Yeah.
that one. That's awesome. So let's just talk about what are your greatest needs right now. If someone's listening or watching this, how could they get involved? If they're like, yeah, I want to do something like that, or they're kind of on the fence, what would you
Yeah, I
tell
would
them?
say, 3 prayers. Pray for the faith of the disciples in Albania and us, as well as just the harvest there in Albania. I would say financially, if you want to help, we have a donor box up right now. It's actually on my Instagram in the bio, kplum5. If you want to look at that, it's there. You can donate one time or monthly or yearly, whatever you want to do. So if you want to do that, you can do that. As well as if there's any young or old disciples who want to take a 1-year challenge, like a self-funded 1-year challenge, I mean, please apply. We're going to be looking through those applications in June and calling people. And so it really is an opportunity to be a part of the Great Commission, either sending us by helping send money or by going to join us on a 1-year challenge. So either of those will be amazing. And then obviously prayers.
That's great. What day are you touching down? When do
We
you
fly out
arrive?
of San Diego June 15th. We will get there June 16th, and we start officially leading the church in Albania July 1st.
Awesome. Okay, terrific. What's one thing you wish more Christians understood about missions?
I understood about missions. I think something we miss sometimes when we talk about Jesus and the gospel, it's not just about us getting saved, but it's about us helping advance a kingdom. And so missions work is we are advancing the kingdom of God. In the same way we send special forces all over the world to go for the interests of a country, I think we're touching down in Albania to establish the kingdom of God. He already established it, but we're there to advance it. And so I think missions work is we are serving a king that has already defeated all the idols, all the things that could prevent the gospel from spreading. He's defeated it. Therefore, the victory's already won. All you have to do is follow him and go to where he's telling you to go. So I think that's it. It's not about a special person. It's not about you're just this charismatic, whatever. It's are you faithful enough to follow a king that has already won the battle? And I think what it is and what it exposes is do you love this life or do you love Jesus? You can't love both. And I find myself fighting with that every day. And so I would just encourage Christians about missions. We are establishing and advancing a kingdom. And you don't need to go on a mission team to go to heaven. But man, I want to do some work for Jesus here and with him before I go to heaven. And so that's what I think about.
That's awesome. Well, Kyle, thank you so much for coming on the program. Thank you for making the time during your vacation. Please give big hugs to Monique. And I look forward to hearing all the good reports that are going to come out of
Amen.
Albania and the work that you're doing there. It is going to inspire the
Amen.
kingdom. So,
Thanks,
all the
Rob.
best to
Love
you.
you. Appreciate you. You're awesome.
Love you too. Thanks for listening. Here's how you can help support the program. First, read one of my books. The 10X Christian came out this last fall. You can find that on Amazon.com. Or my most recent book is called Before You Quit, Letters to a Christian Who Feels Done. Maybe you've got a friend who feels like walking away from God. Maybe you've got a family member who's on the edge spiritually and not doing well. That book can really help them and encourage them to hang on, to not give up on Jesus, but to stay faithful to him for the long haul. Because my goal is to inspire you to live a no regrets life Make this life count and multiply disciples, readers, and churches. Have a great day and make this life count.